Good morning. We're taking a look at guncalendars.com, where we attempt to archive our daily firearms history. In prior years, we were happy to have the website exist and to have it filled with a working calendar, and we strove to add illustrations and find as much information as possible. The next evolution past the website was to do a series of videos. So our goal for a while was to do a video each morning with the information about what was in the calendar and the firearms history of that day. Then last year in 2020, our goal was to have an Instagram account with each of the cartoons or infographics that we had come up with for so many of the events, and post on Instagram, the social platform, daily updates as well. So we would have multiple platforms on multiple media getting the information out there, so we're aware of where we came from and the things that we've overcome and the failures that we've had, and the things that we still need to do. So this year we're going to try adding to that just a little bit. We'll continue to try to juggle those elements, keeping the calendar as up to date as possible. And this is a collaborative event. We don't do anything by ourselves, so if you know something that we're missing from the calendar, please let us know. In addition to the daily updates, which we'll probably attempt to incorporate with our Daily Gun Show podcast, we're going to try to do a Sunday look at the week, and we'll look quickly back at the prior week and then forward at the events that are upcoming. And that way there's one weekly video to give you an idea of what's coming. We'll also take a look into the future at some of the rallies and industry events and holidays and get-togethers that might be happening, and competition shoots. And then we'll also do the daily updates. So that'll be our goal, is to have a multi-front campaign or effort, project to keep firearms history alive and people aware of who and what has come before, know what shoulders and whose shoulders we're standing on. That's our goal. Let us know in the comments what you think, and with that, we'll start with January 10th, 2021. We have a couple of events in the calendar. One is the passing of Buffalo Bill Cody, and the other is the publication of a very cool book. So we'll take a look at Buffalo Bill first. He was born in 1846 in Nebraska. Was of course popular for his Wild West show. He started the show in Nebraska and then eventually moved to Wyoming. He traveled the world for 30 years, brought people like Annie Oakley and Lillian Smith on board as some of the first celebrities, and they were obviously competition or exhibition shooters, and brought culture and the West to all over the world, and is probably responsible for the opinions and attitudes of the United States around the world. So he passed on January 10th, today, back in 1917, and it's the kind of stuff we try to keep on the calendar. It's also the anniversary of the publishing of an interesting book. It's called Glock, The Rise of America's Gun. It's written by a guy named Paul Barrett. Has no relation to the firearms Barretts. This book was published in 2013. It's an interesting time for a book like this to be published, and it's a really excellent book if you are a fan of Glock or not. This is about the firearms industry and some of the ups and downs, and kind of focused around the implementation or the creation of the Glock and its introduction, I guess, into the U.S. marketplace. But from that anchor point, it takes a look around the firearms industry and the culture and society. It's an excellent book. Can't recommend it enough. And we just have these little links out when we can to Amazon, of course, and it looks like that's telling us you can get the paperback probably or something for $5. So definitely worth the investment. I've listened to it on audio. I have it on paperback also, and I've met the author. I got to shake his hand and do a quick interview with him. He's not really a gun guy, but he did have an excellent look with good research. And because it's not a gun guy, and he's not really an anti-gun guy, I don't think he was really I think he was more interested in the how guns interact or are part of society, and so he didn't hold anything back, and he didn't fake anything. It was a really interesting book. Now, I might be looking at it from 7 years back or thinking about it from a few years, so if you've read it recently and have a different opinion, let me know. But I put it in the calendar. I think it's an excellent book. So that's today. We're going to take a look back at this last week. I guess we could do it for the last month. We start out the month on the 1st with the birth of John Garand, Canadian, later moved to the United States. He invented the M1 Garand, which is the way that he says that he pronounces it, and then gave the patent to the United States. So a Canadian inventor gave the Garand to the United States. That same day, Galil was born. He has a different name, but we pronounce it Galil, and of course he was instrumental in the creation of his firearm, the Galil rifle, but he also worked on the Uzi, from what I understand. So we had a couple of firearms inventors to start the year off. On the 2nd, every second matters, we had Christian Sharps from the Sharps rifle and the pepper boxes. Sharps was born back in 1810, and it was also the birthday of Alan Gura, who's a Second Amendment lawyer and activist, and was involved with the Heller decision and some of the other more recent court cases. So one of our heavy hitters in the Second Amendment realm. On the 4th, we had George Hyde, over there, being born. He is the designer of the bunch of machine guns, including, if we got the graphic up there, no we don't, the grease gun, the Liberator pistol, the glove that has a 45 ACP in it. Really interesting guy and inventor, and I should get the graphic up there for videos like this. We have a graphic for that one over on Instagram. Presser versus Illinois was a Supreme Court case that was decided earlier this month on the 4th, back in 1886. So it's not a recent case. And this is the Supreme Court case where the Second Amendment was limited only by the power of Congress and the national government, not by the states. So it reaffirmed the Cruikshank decision, I guess, from 1876, which sets the limit only on the federal government and not the states. And unfortunately, if I understand it correctly, that's where the states got the idea that they could impose infringements at a state level. So that was just a piece of history, not necessarily a great one, but one we need to know it's out there. Alan Gura is one of the Second Amendment advocates / attorneys that we've had working on our side, and Dave Kopel is another, an author and activist and integral in some of the court cases. He was born this month also on the 7th. Next, we had an anniversary of the passing of Carbine Williams. So I've actually heard different stories about this guy. I'm not a historian. I'm just trying to get a bird's eye view at our history. So we encourage you to check out the books and probably videos at this point. We know there's a movie starring James Stewart that was the life and times of Carbine Williams, but allegedly he went to jail for shooting a sheriff or something, and then invented the M1 carbine while he was in prison. So there's other people that say that that's all hype. So I'm not going to tell you one way or the other, but I can tell you that he passed back in 1975 on January 8th. Unfortunately, we had another firearms inventor pass this last week, yesterday on the 9th, and that was Melvin Johnson. Of course, the Johnson rifle is something that not too many people have seen. They're fairly rare, but he was a highly respected firearms designer, and I'm sure there's lots of people out there that can tell you more about that. Coming up this next week, we have a couple of things on the calendar. We've got the anniversary of the passing of Arisaka, the Japanese firearms inventor. We have the anniversary of our appearance on Modern Marvels. We were on Modern Marvels back in 2012. They used some footage from one of our YouTube videos. That's a big thing for me. I really liked Modern Marvels. I think if we modeled our channel back in the day after anything, it was watching Modern Marvels back in the day. So real cool to have, I think, 9 to 12 seconds, depending on which version of the show you see, of our guns and hands in there. Let's see, we got Mauser passing this next week, and we also have the passing of Bill Richardson, the guy in California who started the Gun Owners of California and the Gun Owners of America. Got Spencer passing this week as well. Horace Smith from Smith & Wesson, anniversary of his passing. We've got the anniversary from 2013 of Obama's 23 executive orders. Hopefully we won't see anything, well, we don't need to talk about that. But we do need to remember that happened, and it's not the first time we've dealt with overwhelming odds, and we've come out victorious in the past. We can do it again. Just added a new one today. Henry Kolb was born on this coming week. And then another anniversary of a passing, Neal Knox, advocate for 2A, someone who we could be looking up to now as a person who is effective at getting message out to a lot of people to create action. Next, we've got the 40 Smith & Wesson debuting back in 1990. So this week should be a fun one. Stay tuned for specific videos each day in the mornings, and another one like this one next weekend. Give us some feedback in the comments if you would. Check out guncalendars.com. And if you see something that we're missing, or if you know of something that we're missing, please let us know. Our goal is to have something there for each day that relates to our firearms history. I lost my little squiggles. Anyway, thanks for watching.